Welcome everybody back to the TheDomCast. This is the second episode this week. Yes! I am so proud of myself. I got it done. I found a workflow. Of course, I agreed to do 2 podcasts a week sometime back, and because of the circumstances, it was like, yeah, I need the opportunity, definitely. But I didn't have a great idea, especially with the NBA and everything else that's going on, the 2 channels, the streaming. Didn't really know how I was going to fit it. But tonight, I was actually going to stream. The plan was to stream. I haven't streamed in now. The last time I streamed was 2 nights ago. So if you are always in the Twitch chat, sorry to disappoint you. However, you know, if you're here, you probably like the podcast because not that many of you come through, so you're probably not that disappointed. Also, I'll be streaming tonight. This is being recorded on July 15th, Wednesday, July 15th. Not going to drop till the morning on Thursday, so if you are just now listening to this, yes, I will be streaming tonight. I have pretty much become an exclusive night streamer for the time being. Gonna have to be that anyways with the way things are going with the NBA schedule. Scrimmages, a lot of people don't even seem to realize scrimmages are gonna start on the 22nd, and then we get the actual season on the 31st. So literally a week from today, we are gonna have basketball like all day, for the better part of all day. That's gonna be interesting. That is gonna be very interesting. But yeah, I was going to stream, but I was feeling kind of tired. There's a storm outside, and I was like, yeah, that's always a super inconvenience whenever I'm streaming and power goes out, which happens quite frequently in this place. I might have to leave here one day because they be wilding with this power. But also, yeah, it's a major inconvenience. And also, I was just a little bit tired too, because if you do follow my Twitch content, and shout out to y'all that are consistent with it as well, like I really appreciate y'all, because it is not easy to, I don't watch anybody's live, family. The only live I ever pop into really is the Black Okage. I go to his from time to time, but actually trying to catch somebody live, that's a commitment. So if you're always in there, I do appreciate it. But damn, those things can be taxing, especially with the Sims that I do these days. No, I don't play the Sims. The Sims that we do in NBA 2K, you already know we can be in there for a good 4 or 5 hours, and especially when we do them at nighttime. I swear, every time I get off, as soon as I press stop streaming, I'm like Thanos when he was, what they call that place? Was it the Garden? Yeah, after the job was done and he's limping around the garden. That's me after every stream, bro. I'm gonna have to start load managing. But anyways, yeah, so I was able to get on and say, you know what? I do need a second podcast out this week anyways. I spent way too long explaining this. Let me stop rambling. I also found a bit of a structure for the podcast, I believe, too. I think that as we begin, I'm going to have some little small things that I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about. I'll probably have those go first just because I don't like transitioning into those topics and then only talking about them for like 2 or 3 minutes. I feel like that can just go at the beginning. So I have a couple of written down here. Of course, we're going to be talking about the NBA. Then we're going to switch gears to, you know, if you're listening to this pod for basketball, you might also leave with the existential crisis. So yeah, we're going to be talking about at the end of the pod with the extracurricular section, or just extra section, talking a bit about life and death, because I had a tweet and an Instagram story with a question about it. That was actually last night, but when y'all get this, it'll be the other day. And some people were like, yeah, you know, throw this section on the pod, and it goes perfectly because on times when there's not going to be that much NBA news, being that I do 2 a week, I can just use the second podcast sometimes to maybe ramble a bit. No, definitely not ramble. Talk about some subjects that I'm really interested in that I don't think I would necessarily be good talking about with hosts. I think these go better when I'm by myself anyways, and I'm by myself now, so that'll come near the end. I am going to kick this podcast off with one of these smaller sections, and we're going to be talking about Messenger Mat first. So as always, all these subjects are on that little strip, the time markers and everything. You can bounce around to the podcast and go wherever you want. I know I always said I would start off talking about the NBA, but again, these little 2-3 minute topics, where they go first. And yeah, with Messenger Mat, if you don't know who he is, well, you probably just found me, because I mentioned Messenger Mat often throughout the years. I even made a video about him on my second channel about a year and a half ago. I can't remember exactly what year it was. Anyways, he is a, how do you describe these YouTubers? 2K cinematic YouTuber, I guess. It's not a popular genre, unfortunately, because the amount of work it takes is godly. You have to have real video editing talent to jump into this section. And let's just go ahead and say, like, Messenger Mat is king, alright, when it comes to this content. You have guys that have done an amazing job with it throughout the years, like Shady with the trailers and everything that he's done. Like he like Messenger Mat too. He looked up to him as well. So anybody you've ever seen do 2K cinematic stuff, Messenger Matt is just objectively the greatest. It's kind of not close, really. It's just that if you go back and watch his videos from NBA 2K11, that was, and I used to study his work because around 2015, before I actually had a presence on YouTube, I was trying to dip my feet into the 2K cinematic pools, and oh my gosh, man, if you see some of the videos I did back then, like I did a Michael Jordan commercial, and I swear I didn't sleep that day, and I still didn't come close to what I was trying to mimic, which at that time had some Messenger Matt elements in it. But yeah, going around and researching, how he put together some of these videos, because he left very little out there, right? If you don't know his story, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place about this. He's returned after like, what has it been, like 9 years or 8 years since he last posted a video? Last time he posted a video, I believe, was in 2012 with NBA 2K11. I'm pretty sure that's correct. He was making all of Michael Jordan's famous moments, all of his commercials and all that. And then now we do have confirmation because he put it out there in his last video. His father passed away, so he lost motivation. Very understandable. We'll be talking about life and death later in the podcast anyway, so I guess this kind of fits perfectly. And I didn't think we were ever going to see this guy again. I actually personally did not know if he was alive anymore. I just put it out there, right? Because he didn't have a Twitter presence, he didn't have an Instagram, Facebook. He didn't leave a trace. He posted his last video in the year 2012, I believe, and did not leave a trace. I would even go back in the day as far as to like type his name in on Twitter to see if anybody was having a conversation about him or with him. And the last thing I saw was LD2K typing to him saying, "Where you at, Messenger Matt?" Because I guess they used to watch his stuff because LD and Ronnie have been involved with 2K for quite some time. And so they were looking for him, and I'm like, damn, even the company that he would probably really want to work closely with, even he disappeared on them too. He quite literally ghosted the entire internet. And so I didn't think he was ever coming back. So imagine the shock when at the end of the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary, he kind of went and remade not kind of, he did, like movement for movement. He went and remade Michael Jordan's last shot. It was his first video in 8 years. It was amazing. I'm glad that he got all the love he deserved. It almost has 500,000 views, and for a channel that is just about to break 20K subscribers and hasn't posted in 8 years, for him to come back in his first video hits 500,000. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but yeah, all praise, because the things that he was able to do with NBA 2K11. Oh yeah, and that's where I was going with that research story earlier. One time I researched, I was just looking around his comment section just to see in his descriptions, did he leave any kind of like playbook here? Did he say how he edited the video, or how he got Michael Jordan to do this animation, or how he created this environment? I just needed something because I was trying to get into this myself. And at the time I had actually discovered that, what happened? It was something ridiculous. It was NBA 2K11, and I believe he might have been talking about the Michael Jordan commercial, and I think he said something along the lines of he used to have to record the NBA 2K11 gameplay like on his TV and burn it onto a CD or something like that, and then take the CD and put it in his PC, and then work with the video file there. So as far as I can remember, I'm sorry, I underrated the amount of time that had passed since I read this, so this might be how mythical legends start. Maybe he said something that wasn't that cool, and now I'm pumping it up. This might be how legends start, but to the best of my memory, I think that's how it happened. Meaning he didn't even have like an actual HD PVR that he was working with, or an Elgato recorder or anything, right? Like we have it great today. I just like I have my devices here. I have my cam link for my camera, have my Elgato. Just plug this shit up, gameplay records. We're good. We're off to the races. This man was using like analog cables to burn not analog cables. Yeah, no, it would have been analog cables for that type of TV. It would have been analog cables from a PS3 to a TV, and burning what was happening on the TV to a CD, and then doing that. And then that's the crazy part, right? That's a really ratchet method. If you go and you watch his videos from the PlayStation 3 era and see the detail that he was able to get, the animations that he was able to get in the game, my goodness. I mean, he got a pretty good amount of recognition, I would say, because even though he never got that many subscribers, his videos all seem to, you know, get a lot of love. It's just like I really feel like some of the 2K cinematic YouTubers should be way more popular than they actually are, and Messenger Matt is one of them. Anyway, so all that to say, he released a second video, which is awesome, because on his first one, he just kind of put it out there and he was like, oh yeah, who knows, maybe I'll come back in 2029, or maybe I'll keep making videos again. And again, this guy doesn't really have socials, so you don't really ever know how to reach him. But he drops one that was probably about a week ago. Again, days are blending together. I really don't have a clue. He dropped Michael Jordan's 100-foot, what is it called? Michael Jordan's 100-foot hoop. So that's a commercial if you hadn't seen it. I actually had never seen this commercial before now. It's pretty old. And he recreated it using 2K. And the crazy thing is, I would recommend that you actually go watch this so you have some type of idea of what I'm talking about. Go watch the commercial. And he recreated this thing with 2K, like word for word, bar for bar. I'm not joking, man. Frame by frame. I actually went through because I was so curious after I watched it. I placed his 2K recreation next to the actual commercial, and he recreated the actual environment that Jordan was in, which is I don't know what arena this actually is. Recreated the 100-foot hoop. He got Michael Jordan wearing the actual clothes that he was wearing inside in the commercial. He got Michael to do the facial expression that he did in the commercial. Unfucking believable, and got me so hyped because back in around 2015, back when I thought Messenger Matt was never coming back, and I always would check his channel. That was the funny thing. I would always go back and check his channel to see if he was posting again, just for a crumb, right? Just to see if he dropped anything, a community post or anything, just a sign that he was still around. And because of that, I would find myself rewatching the old videos, and I would think to myself, bro, what if this guy had today's capabilities? What if he had NBA 2K, whatever I was at that time, 17, 18? What if he had the modern 2Ks? What could he accomplish? Because this was NBA 2K11. This was the first game that Jordan had ever been in. So, not necessarily, I mean, they did a really good job nailing a lot of things with MJ on their first try there. But again, different game, a lot of new players that weren't in the game back then, a lot of new environments. I was like, man, what could he do today with these graphics, basically? And especially with PC and modding, if he could get into that. And yeah, now we're getting our answer right now, and I am not disappointed. I'm not disappointed. It's exactly how I imagined it would be. But also, he actually did end up doing a community post for the 100-foot hoop. He talked about how he did it. So if you know what that commercial looks like, again, he did not just cut Michael Jordan out and put him inside the commercial, basically like the virtual MJ, because then it would have looked really weird, right, inside the environment or whatever arena he was in. So he went as far as to recreate the entire arena himself, and he put his process on the community post, which again is just awesome, because this is the type of stuff I always used to wonder about. And so in his behind the scenes thing, he's basically saying that there wasn't a suitable arena in the game. Obviously, that's the first thing I asked ThunderShack about, because ThunderShack is he's really in tune with Messenger Matt's work, and I was like, bro, where would he even have fucking got in this? Modders did not make this arena. This looks exactly like what's in the commercial. Where did he find this? And ThunderShack, his first guess was, he was like, oh yeah, it looks to me like he probably got in I don't know the name of the program, probably a 3D program, maybe he said Blender or something like that, and recreated the entire environment in a 3D environment himself. And I was like, that would make sense. And that would also be crazy as hell, because not only is this guy a video editor, then he's out here like sculpting shit for his videos, and that would explain how back in 2K11 he got all these things I never knew existed, or all these things that I never could find out how to do. I would go and look in the game and the practice options and be like, well, did he get Michael Jordan and LeBron in here this way, or where did he find training bikes, stuff like that. No, actually, he's saying that he gathered a bunch of reference photos of the arena that Jordan was in that commercial, and he created each section of the commercial in Photoshop. So there's actually no 3D modeling in his recreation, just a bunch of 2D images placed inside a 3D space in After Effects. Then he overlaid the game footage and separated Jordan out with masks. So basically, he takes Michael Jordan in game, because in the commercial he does a dunk. So he takes MJ in game and has him do that same dunk. Not exactly, actually. He says the shot where Jordan is flying through the air is a combination of two dunks, because his legs are like moving as he's flying, pretty much. And so he took two dunk animations and combined those in the game, and he took After Effects and cut it out basically frame by frame and placed them inside of his 2D image 3D environment in After Effects. And that's, Look, man, just go read the community post yourself, alright? I'm trying to talk through this without pausing. You get it. It's amazing. All of his work has been amazing. Really glad that he's back. Really hope that he continues to create. If you've never heard of him before, he is an NBA 2K video legend, and he is back, so the more great creators we have in this space, the better. Well, that was a little bit more than 3 minutes. Hey, hopefully you actually understood what I was trying to say at the beginning of the video with the smaller parts. I'm sure the NBA section will turn out being bigger than everything else in the podcast, but the little things where I'm guesstimating, basically, that they're going to be like relatively smaller than the rest of the podcast, try to get those going at the beginning, but again, there are time markers below. The next thing that I will be discussing, and this one should only take a few minutes, Ghost of... Bam, I should have looked up how to pronounce this before I hopped on here. You don't pronounce a T, so it's Ghost of Tsushima, I'm pretty sure. New game coming out 2 days from now. I will be playing at midnight tomorrow, and I am super excited for that because got done playing The Last of Us 2, and again, if you did not see my little mini review of that, you can listen to it in last podcast. Regardless of your feelings for it, regardless of what I said about it, it did get my appetite up for these gigantic AAA games. Because I tried to go and play some games after The Last of Us, and again, regardless of what you think about it, the environment, and you know, they did a Naughty Dog job on the game, right? They did a typical Naughty Dog job on the environment and how fun the game is and whatnot, so got my appetite up to play some really big games, and Ghost of Tsushima is next up on that list. And you know it's big because Chris Move has a he announced on Twitter that he's going to be doing a playthrough of it. Make sure y'all support that because his playthroughs are these days far and few in between. The more support you show those, I'm pretty sure he will want to do them more. And I'm probably look at me talking, right? I'm gonna probably watch the first episode, then dip out for a month because I want to beat it myself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I don't know why you wouldn't have heard of this game, but to me, this is like one of the last big games on the PlayStation 4. Of course, you got Cyberpunk coming out, and that's a confusing situation because Cyberpunk is gonna happen damn near, what, like right before PlayStation 5? I'm still not 100% clear on how that whole process is working out. But I went through it. I had originally wanted to play it because, again, I heard about it from Rod, actually. Rod was the one that got me hype about it. Saw the trailers, went through last night and watched some gameplay. Looks like it is going to be an incredible ride. When I tweeted about it, somebody asked me what are my thoughts on streaming it, and my thoughts are that that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen right now. Look, at this point with streaming, first of all, I do like to enjoy certain games on my own time because I think for people who don't stream, they might not understand that there's like a million, you're paying attention to so much input. That's why I'd be exhausted as shit when I'm done by the end of the night. You're paying attention to so much input when you're streaming that I don't necessarily have fun playing new games while I'm streaming. That's just me. Everybody's different. Of course, like I said, I've seen streamers before. They bust a new game open and they turn it on in front of, like, you know, hundreds of people. I'm not really into that yet. I'm gonna try to be into it for PS5, learn some methods, or, you know, watch some of the streamers who do that and try to get into it. But in my experience, playing games that I never played before, first of all, you're trying to interact with an audience at the same time that you're playing the game. I like to, like, I need every detail. When I'm playing a game, I try to find as many things as possible, trying to hear everything, trying to hear as much of the story as possible. And for the few times that I've tried to play a game that I didn't know what was going to happen next, the few times I've tried to play a game like that on stream, I didn't enjoy it. You get a lot of backseat gaming. Like, you get backseat gaming when you're just doing like simulations on 2K, which is annoying as shit. You're not even really playing then, right? You get backseat gaming when you're playing 2K and like a million people are telling you to do a million different things. And then so like you get, you know, you get a new game and it's like all of that is amplified because you're in a territory where you don't really know what's going on. So those are all things that I'll have hammered out for PS5. For right now, I am just letting PS4 sail silently into the night. And for the few games, some games that I bought years ago that I'm, you know, trying to finish up, and then this new one, which aside from Cyberpunk, again, I don't really know how that's going to happen or how that's going to work. But yes, Ghost of Tsushima, I'm assuming for me will be like my last major investment into a PS4 title in terms of time. Will not be streaming it, but yeah, I will let you know my thoughts on it probably in a few weeks, because I assume that's how long it's going to take me to finish it with everything else going on. Or maybe it'll, you know, not be fun at all, and it'll be one of those games that I play like for 1 or 2 days and then just throw to the back, because you know I'll do that. Oh man, you know I would do that. Let's move on to NBA stuff. I'll try to work on topics. I guess Messenger Matt really should have been like his own huge topic, really, because we're about 20 minutes in now, and I'm just at the NBA thing. Not really ideal, but whatever. There are time skips here. So from what we know about the NBA, and again, it has only been like 3 or 4 days since my last podcast, so not a ton of things have happened, but some interesting things have. Starting with Victor Oladipo, who originally said that he was not going to be playing when the NBA bubble started or when the NBA restarted. He came back and, man, Oladipo, how many games did he even play? Let me look that up real quick on Google Chrome, not Mozilla Firefox. Let me get Google Chrome sponsoring my podcast. Because it's a running joke. If you watch me on Twitch, you know sometimes I pick up Basketball Reference and I go to Mozilla Firefox, and for whatever reason, the shit does not work well. Basketball Reference doesn't work well on Mozilla. So, here we are. Yeah, wow. So he only got to play 13 games and started 10 in this season, coming back from that just devastating injury. And so with his contract, let me scroll down on Google Chrome and not Mozilla. Yeah, actually he's a free agent next year along with Giannis. So he's due or was done $21 million this year. Not sure how much he's actually made of that. And 21 million flat the next year in 2021. That's a contract year. You know how players want to be in their contract year. There's been a big thing. I can't remember who was talking about contract year players, or I can't remember. There was something important there. Anyways, yeah, so originally Oladipo was not going to play, and it seemed like a decent decision because you're coming off of a super injury. Let's be real, the Indiana Pacers are not winning the championship. They're just not. Even with the things that could happen in the bubble where certain players might get sick or certain players might be short-handed, this, that, the other thing, I don't think enough will have changed for the Indiana Pacers to come out of the East and win an NBA championship. And so if you're sitting in Oladipo's shoes, you're thinking, well, coming off of a devastating injury, next year is contract year, and you've seen examples, right, of players getting absolutely wrecked in contract years, like our guy Isaiah Thomas. What happened with IT? They were supposed to be backing up the Brinks truck for him, and then next thing you know, he was injured, and then he was never the same. Never actually got the Brinks truck, went around from team to team, never got his form back. And so, yeah, if you're a player, you think about as much as there we go. I was reading a book like 2 summers ago, reading a basketball book, and it was talking about how basketball promotes, you know, team play and sacrifice this for the team and sacrifice that. But the things that they incentivize are really individual attributes. And so when you're a player, you really got to be thinking about yourself. And so that's kind of what Oladipo was doing by saying he wasn't going to play, I'm assuming. Get ready for a contract year. Why risk an injury in a year where nothing, you know, is coming of it? But, however, change of heart. Put it in reverse, right? He comes back, he's actually in the bubble, and he's been practicing with his teammates, and now they're saying that there's a strong chance that he may play. Okay. Hey, cool, because obviously without playing, you do know that you are missing money for some games. Oh, I did not write that down. Let me write that down right now for after the NBA section. We should talk about Elena Deladon. I don't know why I didn't have that one written. Probably because I was reading about it today, and it eventually slipped my mind with everything else that was going on. We'll be talking about that. But yeah, the Pacers should, well, we don't know, it's not confirmed yet, but the Pacers may have Oladipo, and hey, more power to him, you know. I would like to see him play himself back into shape. You can't really do that in this little bit of time left, do you? I just want to see what he has after the injury, like a lot of people would, and like he probably wants to, because he didn't get that much NBA burn. Again, he only played about 13 games in his return. So I definitely want to see what he has, and it's more entertaining for us, let's be real, because if the Pacers are in this bubble restart, like there's certain teams that are here and you're just like, why are you here? And shout out to Indiana. I haven't forgotten, despite talking about last podcast how, you know, you could forget a lot of things about the NBA season in 4 months, because that's basically a whole off season, right? If the championship is won in June, then, you know, 4 months later you're about to start a new season. So yeah, we've basically done an entire offseason already, and you can easily forget like everything, every detail. No, I've not forgotten the Pacers without Oladipo. Great job. Sabonis was fun to watch. Malcolm Brogdon being there. Really cool stuff. Still not a championship team. Still on an entertainment value scale. I mean, I guess, you know. Like, you're not selling the Indiana Pacers to casuals, especially without Oladipo. I was praying for that Indiana and Miami matchup so we could see TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, good to see him back for an entertainment value, and to see if he'll be able to keep his same value or get on the road to keeping his same value for next year. Because I would like the Giannis free agency class to be as entertaining as possible. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the Pacers. I have snitches written down here. Yeah, so there'll be some more. I'll move that one. Actually, we'll talk about that one at the end. Rondo. Let me find the tweet right now. Rondo had sustained a serious hand injury. He is going to be out for a while. I actually have to look up the tweet and the details for this one. The first thing that happened, first of all, I was on stream when the news of Rondo's hand injury broke. When the news of his hand injury broke, no pun intended, I swear. No, he fractured his right thumb, actually, is what happened here. And after I got off stream, like, it just occurred to me, I was like, yo, how many times has this man had a hand injury? Because it just seemed like a thing that's popped up. You know, I'm a Celtics fan, and he was on the Celtics for a while, and so I paid attention to him even after he was gone. So I was like, this seems like a recurring theme. And now I'm going to pull up the tweets. Hopefully it comes up first. No, it is not going to come up first. Give me a minute. Here we go. Because I tweet and retweet like 1,000 things. So this tweet was from Bobby Marks, a blue check. So today probably wasn't a good day for him if you heard about the hacking event. It said since the 2010-2011 season, Rajon Rondo has injured his hand/wrist 13 different times. 13! 11 to his right hand and 2 to his left. 55 games missed, not including the games in Orlando. This man has hurt his hand 13 times, and what is that, like roughly 9 seasons? I knew I wasn't crazy, man. I knew I wasn't crazy. We were hoping to see playoff Rondo. I mean, who knows if it was actually going to be a thing, right? It's a meme, but it's also kind of serious, like headband Rondo, TNT Rondo, playoff Rondo. We saw a couple of years ago when he was with the Pelicans, and I believe they ended up sweeping the Blazers. Rondo was probably playing decent that season, but then the playoffs hit and it was just like a different thing. You talk about Chicago Bulls Rondo, where they probably would have won if he hadn't hurt his hand. Isn't that what happened? Holy shit, that is what happened. Let me see real quick. Yeah, because I remember not even feeling great about that win. That happened in 2017 with the Bulls in the playoffs. So in the 2017 playoffs, yeah, Rondo was out indefinitely after suffering a fractured right thumb. Yeah, wait, is that the same thing? No, this is the one from the Bulls. Wow, that's crazy, bro. That is crazy. Yeah, so in the 2017 playoffs, I remember I didn't feel good about that win at all. It was like a 2K looking series. So if you, again, I'm just gonna keep shamelessly plugging my Twitch because that's what's in these days. If you're following the Twitch content, you know that 2K seems to have like this glitch where a team in the playoffs will lose both their home games, but then still be super competitive and probably even win the series. That rarely happens in real life because of a thing called momentum and team morale and all that. And if a team loses both their home games, like especially if they're the higher seed, they lose both their home games, they probably don't win the series. And so that happened to Boston when we had Isaiah Thomas that year and his sister tragically passed away. The Bulls just came and hopped on us, bro. And I was like, it's back to that part where people used to say I didn't support my team enough when I was just being a realist. I was like, I didn't see us going that far. So when we were getting like thwarted by the Bulls, I was like, yeah, this just doesn't really surprise me. They had Wade back then, they had Jimmy Butler and playoff Rondo. And then Rondo, after just 2 games, I believe, hurt his hand and the Celtics did a reverse sweep. And that was so unsatisfying because to this day, it was like, man, if they had Rondo, and he was playing amazing in that series up to that point, I was like, man, if they had Rondo, they probably would have won that series. We might have been looking at the Bulls Cavs that year. We just never got that Wade and LeBron playoff series. Something was always in the way. It just was not meant to be. Now, anyways, how that affects things in 2020, it's always funny because he's Lakers property now, and watching Laker fans go back and forth about what they think about Rondo. Some of them are just like, yeah, good, go home, stay home. Like, there's even during the season, right? They were like, the less Rondo on the court, the better. I used to wonder back when, you know, they were playing Rondo and LeBron on the floor at the same time, or when that was the plan, I was like, that just doesn't really seem like the greatest idea. And so now they won't have to worry about that because he is going to not be playing for, how long did they just say again? I think I just read it. Yeah, this broken right thumb in practice. This happened in practice, by the way. Not in his Motel 6 hotel room, as he calls it. I'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, it's gonna cost him 6 to 8 weeks, and then he'll be able to return to full basketball activities. So, in best case scenario, we would see Rondo in, oh my goodness, that's like right at the start of September. When did this happen? A couple of days ago? The actual date this happened was July 12th. So yeah, you would literally be looking at August and then 2 more weeks. So yeah, really like right by September, and in worst case scenario, even a little bit farther into September. So yeah, definitely playoff basketball. If he even like played at that point, you know, they're just gonna like insert him into the rotation. I don't know, man. That's a very interesting situation for the Los Angeles Lakers. I am at very least interested to see what the energy looks like, because again, Laker fans, this was coming from Laker fans, I followed these guys. Some of the biggest Laker representatives on social media were the ones that are like, yeah, the less we see of Rondo on the court, the better. Now he's gone. I'm like, okay, I don't want to hear this weird energy if something happened to the Lakers in the playoffs, because I already see, oh, Nick Wright. He's just flat out trolling these days now, as he did some creative accounting to figure out how a win this year would actually be LeBron's 6th ring. And don't quote me, but I believe he did mention Rondo's absence in that creative calculation. So yeah, you know, I will be doing an energy check. As a matter of fact, I should tweet about that and ask how Laker fans feel. I might send that tweet after the podcast. So yeah, that's what's good with Rondo's hand. And damn, bro, that's an insane 55 games with that. That is insane. What are his hands made of? That's wild. Russell Westbrook. I actually did mention Russell Westbrook and James Harden last podcast because they had not yet traveled to Orlando. They weren't there. Now James Harden is, but Westbrook is not, because Westbrook had the Rona. He did in fact test positive for coronavirus, currently quarantining, and said that he will join his team when it is safe, when he is ready. And well, first of all, I mean, every time a big name, like by now, like a player will test positive and you're just like, like a role player, like Harrison Barnes tested positive, you're kind of used to hearing a couple of names, even though the numbers have been relatively small with the test. But because it seems like we get a new name every day, you just start to wonder, and knowing about the asymptomatic, the people that can be asymptomatic, you just start to wonder, like, damn, how many people actually have this? Because you hear all these players, and you would assume they would have been like the safest ones, right? You would have assumed with them knowing what's on the line, with them actually being able to play, and possibly if they were to contract like the worst case scenario and have it affect their careers long down the line, you would have just assumed like they would have probably been, you know, the ones taking the most precautions. Yet, you know, Kevin Durant had it, a bunch of Nets players had it, Westbrook had it, and because just out of this little focus group of NBA players, because there's only about 400 NBA players at any given time, right? And so the fact that we keep hearing names getting plucked from that little tiny pool, you just start to wonder, like, damn, bro, have I had it? No, not even trying to make a joke of it, but for real though. I saw this tweet and the dude was like, every time I have a sore throat, or every time I have a sore throat, I'm like, do I have the Rona? Is this just what having a throat feels like? It's something along those lines. And yeah, I do wonder about that. Like, fam, am I asymptomatic right now? It's a weird times, man. But anyways, to the NBA aspect of this, thankfully James Harden does not have it. He is actually in Orlando now. Even showed the video of him pulling up. And I thought that there was even, I'm glad I didn't retweet it because it was fake news. They were talking about, I saw like 2 or 3 tweets saying that James Harden was confirmed to have had it, and that was after Westbrook. And because he wasn't in Orlando yet, James Harden, I was like, damn, bro, they both got it. They've both been chilling in the same clubs. No, Westbrook is a family man, bro. Westbrook is a family man, and I don't think any Texas clubs are actually open. It's just a low-hanging fruit. But yeah, the thing that I was worried about was like, okay, with Westbrook, again, and when I thought it was James Harden as well, scrimmages 7 days from now. Right now, you're getting teams like with the little mini training camps and practice together. All that stuff is important, especially after an NBA stoppage, and you're about to basically jump into NBA playoff basketball. You're gonna finish what's left of this little restart plan for the season they have. Then you're gonna jump into intense playoff basketball, and so I was wondering, I was like, damn, what if, well, now we know, let's just go with what we do have. Westbrook has it right now. And I'm saying, okay, when is he actually going to join? Because, again, some people are okay with, you know, they recover. Like, Jokic is not in Orlando, I believe. He's recovered from the virus. But then some people are sick with it for a long time. And I'm like, man, what if Westbrook is joining, like, are they making an exception for that now? I know before the playoffs, you used to have to have a roster set. And if the name wasn't on the roster, then they couldn't be in that year's playoffs or something like that. But now I'm sure they would just probably have his name there and he'd be there anyways. But like, say like worst case scenario, Westbrook wasn't back until the playoffs, which I don't think it'll be that long. Even with him joining in the middle of the season, it's like he's had no camp with them, he's had no practice time with them. So those little games to end the season, whatever whatever he's able to jump in the middle of, that'll just kind of be his time. And again, it just goes along with everybody doing the best they can right now, including the NBA. But it just fucking sucks so bad because it's just so hard to feel like this is the regular thing, you know? It's just so hard to feel like this is a regular thing, especially if he jumps in like it, or if his absence ends up making them fall certain seeds, and now all of a sudden it's weird, bro. It's like the butterfly effect, all types of shit going on with this. But yeah, that's just one of the many ways that this season is different. But the good thing is that the Rockets play like one of the more unique styles of basketball. So no center. Everybody else, if your name is not Westbrook or James Harden, you wait for the 3-ball, basically. So, I mean, I guess for them at least, it's not that complicated. Speaking of vague schemes, yeah, I do have that one here. Apparently, the Sixers, if you have not heard, have been practicing with Ben Simmons at the 4, and he's been very accepting to it as well. I like this. I like this a lot. Ben Simmons at power forward, and they were playing. I was about to get confused with the sim that we did with Wilt Chamberlain back in March and say Shamori Pons. No, not Pons. Milton. Yeah, Shake Milton. There we go. See, Shake, Shamori. That's how I was about to fuck it up. They were both point guards. No, Milton. So Shake at the point guard, and then Ben Simmons at the 4. Man, that would be hilarious, because if you think back, the Sixers were not doing great before the season went on the little hiatus, or not little, the regularly sized off-season hiatus. Sixers were not doing great, didn't have the energy that we expected them to come into the season with, because by most calculations, the East was basically going to be the Bucks and Sixers as the top dogs. And yeah, they were doing a lot worse than expected. They come back. If they've had time to think this over, they make this adjustment. Ben Simmons ends up at the 4. They end up successful because of things like spacing. Because we've always wondered, again, with the offense kind of being like inside out, with the better shooter being the center player and the guy who brings the ball up the court, and you know, it has defenses sagging off of him being the point guard. That's always been the weird thing, right? So install him at the 4. I really hope they at least run this in the scrimmage. I really want to see if they go through with this. I'm always interested in scheme changes, especially right in the middle of seasons or when the season is not over. That's why I was one of my favorite case studies was the Houston Rockets before things ended. I was so fascinated to see if that was going to work in the playoffs, or how it was going to work, or how it was going to be defeated. And that was one of the many reasons my heart was just like shattered when this all ended, because it's like, yeah, it gave me more time in life, but damn, there was so many things for the playoffs to work out this year. I couldn't figure out how to tweet it in the amount of characters we have on Twitter the other day, but I can say it now. I've been often wondering, like, what would NBA history, do y'all ever think about, like, right now here in July, what would have changed in NBA history had the season have actually been able to finish? And so, like, would Giannis be a champion right now? Would LeBron have his first Laker ring? Would we be talking about LeBron in the GOAT convo, or even the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard standing and Paul George, now that Kawhi is repeated on different teams in back-to-back years? There were so many interesting storylines, and some of them, pretty much all of them, would have had some type of conclusion by now, and I just really wonder where we would be sitting with those. And even though we're getting the finish, I don't feel like it's the same satisfying answer that we would have had in the in the event of a regular season, because once this one ends, it's gonna be like, yeah, it all ended in a weird way, and a lot less I don't know, there's something about it that just doesn't feel as satisfying. I don't think it's gonna feel as satisfying, but we will certainly see. Damn, how did I even get on that little tangent? I have no clue. Yeah, we were talking about the Sixers. The Nets just can't have anything nice, except for Jamal Crawford. Again, he got signed. We saw his first picture of him hooping today in Brooklyn practice threads. But Michael Beasley tested positive for the Rona. So here's the thing. He actually had to be sent home, correct? Yeah, Michael Beasley, it gets complicated for him, and it sucks because, obviously you don't wish this on anybody. But not only that, but I'm pretty sure that he had a 5-game suspension that he was already going to have to overcome to even be able to play. That was gonna have to go first. Oh my goodness, bro, these pop-ups on these damn websites. I just want to read a story. Here we are. So yeah, he recently signed with the team. He did leave the bubble. He left the bubble after one of the positive tests. Yeah, and now his status on the roster is now up in the air, you know, and it sucks because this could have been like a little outlet for him to get back into the NBA consistently, at least, because you seen the summer hoop. Well, everybody hoops in summer hoops, but yeah, you know, it's just like how this Carmelo and Anthony clip has everybody pissed off because he was defending Mario Hezonja, and Hezonja like fumbled the ball, and everybody was just like furious because, you know, Melo can't have anything positive. Like, that was weird, bro. I guess this little tangent will just insert into Michael Beasley section. That shit was weird, bro. Everybody was so mad at this Melo clip of him defending, and they were like, oh yeah, why couldn't you do this then? Why? Oh, it's just Mario Hezonja. Like, fam, it's just it's like a 10-second clip at most of him defending a role player. He's doing a vet's job in practice. Like, that's what he's supposed to do. He's shouting, he's clapping. We know he's not about to stop anybody. He's not about to come lock Kawhi Leonard up unless the DomCast is activated. Not about to. We know this, fam. Just enjoy the man while he's here. We don't even know how much longer we have him. I don't know. People choose, it must be the quarantine, man. Actually, it's not the quarantine. People have been mad over dumb shit forever. But yeah, that Twitter was just like, NBA Twitter was in a frenzy over that. At least that means we're back, though. People getting mad over dumb shit. So Twitter's back, NBA is back. That's awesome. Yeah. Back to yeah, the Beasley thing. How many players is that for the Nets that tested positive now? Ah, here we go. Yeah, they signed him as a substitute player on July 9th, so it wasn't even that long ago. It was July 9th, and they had an open roster spot after Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, and Taurean Prince withdrew from the restart after testing positive. Of course, they're going to be out with Kyrie and KD by default. KD had the Rona, but that was a while back. And I found it funny, like how little we know about the players that get it. Like, we hear they have it, and then we hear nothing else. Like, I would love to know Kevin Durant's experience with it, you know, just because, again, it affects everybody so differently. Yeah, Beasley last played in 2019 with the Lakers. So yeah, it was just a way for him to, especially on a team like the Nets that is doing absolutely nothing right now, it would have just been nice to see him get some hoop in, like Jamal Crawford, especially because, like, there's plenty of shots to go around that seem like they're all going to be going to Karis LeVert, I guess. Yeah, and then with the Wizards as well, Bradley Beal isn't playing, so hold on real quick. Are one of these teams going to make the playoffs? Back to Google Chrome for basketball reference. Yeah, because it was already pitiful watching. It was already pitiful watching Giannis Antetokounmpo last year. Well, not watching. Ain't nobody watch that shit. Ain't nobody watch that Pistons series, bro. I just had my fingers crossed in the first round of last year, hoping that Giannis didn't actually get hurt. If you needed a refresher on the standings, wow, damn. See, with time, bro, these are the things you forget. The Sixers were in 6th place. They had 39 wins and are tied with the Pacers. Only 2 games out of 4th though, so it's not really as dramatic as it looks. But again, for a team that was kind of like expected to be around 2nd when the season started, or you know, locked into that area, that's still is surprising. So the Nets were 7th at 30 and 34, far behind, no chance of ever catching them, and they are a half a game above the Orlando Magic. So should the Nets fall out, yeah, it's literally just them or the Wizards. The Hornets did not get an invite. Nobody else got an invite. So yeah, one of these teams is going to be in the playoffs. I feel if you follow my Twitch, if you even follow my Twitch content, this is what it feels. This is what Stern 2K feels like when I'm looking at the bracket and I'm like, good lord, one of these sorry ass teams about to be in the playoffs and we're gonna have to sit through this. And because of 2K's stupidity, one of them is probably going to end up knocking out an actual contender. Except in this life, yeah, no, a Bradley Beal-less Wizards team, or a Kyrie and KD and every non-generic player list Nets team is not going to be upsetting anybody. That's going to be ugly, man. That's going to be ugly. The Magic are, yeah, that first round, it's the Bucks just, man, get Giannis some extra rest, I guess. Nah, he need those reps. That's reps. That first round is reps. No matter who they play, the Magic, the Nets, or the Washington Wizards, those are the only 3 teams they can play at this point. And yeah, that's just straight reps. Does that have to be 4 games? Can we test out the best of 5? Retest the best of 5? Stern 2K, if this was me controlling the league, I'm putting that bitch back on best of 5 for this year. Because yeah, let's just keep our fingers crossed for Giannis. Those series are an absolute waste of time. So yeah, Michael Beasley out. Wish him the best, obviously, because especially when you're a fringe NBA player, it's like you need every chance you can to prove something, and the Nets can't have anything, and maybe Michael Beasley can't either, but definitely wish the best. Yeah, okay. A couple of more things with this. Is this where I'm gonna start? Yeah, because these kind of go together. Snitches. Snitches. Yes, you already know the NBA set up the tip hotline, and yesterday for the first time we got confirmation that it had actually been used. This was the funny thing. We were wondering, this tip hotline, these guys, like, generally, generally, it feels like you would be able to trace something like this back, right? So you're in a hotel, you know who saw you where, maybe, or you have an idea of who was around when you were maybe violating, or when you went out a certain door, you might have peeped dude at the vending machine. So you might have an idea of who snitched on you, right? And so this is funny because somehow this is actually, well, not somehow, I mean, obviously this would, especially in this environment, this would be causing controversy. It is, like, Kendrick Perkins have been tweeting about it. I saw Marcus Morris tweet out Kendrick Perkins going out bad right now, which I'm not sure if he's talking about Kendrick Perkins in terms of his fandom for LeBron James, or if he's talking about his stance on the snitching. And yeah, it's been used, and get this is, look, there's just a certain thing about optics, right? Optics. Rudy Gobert, he actually called this petty. But the full quote was that he said he gets it, but he thinks the snitch line is petty. And the optics of the first player to contract the Rona, subsequently leading to the closure of the NBA, that was gonna happen either way. Like, it was happening regardless, especially now we know that. But you know, especially with him being the one on tape playing with microphones and back in, you know, like March, April, having his teammate mad at him because of his carelessness, having that one call what is essentially a protection line petty. The optics aren't good, man. The optics are not good. If I was Gobert, I probably wouldn't have said that, because he was a major meme machine a couple of months ago. LeBron didn't even tweet out, man, hope you're doing good, bro. Like, there wasn't a lot of outpouring of love at that moment for Rudy Gobert. But yeah, the line is being used, and I really hope, like, I'm praying for the moment where we have an empty gym. They're going to be playing in an empty gym, no crowd or anything, so we're going to be able to hear them talk again. That little censorship conversation comes up every time we talk about this, and I know somebody is going to hit an and one, and you're just going to hear them yell out, "Snitch!" to whoever, like, say that, because again, I know some of these players know who's snitching on them, and so you get an and one on buddy, be like, and just turn to him while you flexing and yell out "snitch," just real loud for the camera to hear. Oh, my heart needs that, man. If we are not gonna have a crowd this year, if we are not gonna have home court advantage influencing things, we need some of this energy. I need it, bro. I need it. There's so many memes about Chris Paul with this right now. It's funny because Chris Paul is a lot older, and you know, he's involved with the NBPA in a major way, so he kind of seems like a father figure in all this. But anyways, I mean, as funny, I saw Skeets tweet this from the Soul Starter show. He tweeted out, like, as funny as all the little snitch memes are and everything, like, this is 100% necessary, because bro, we don't need this season we don't need to have done all this, right? Have all these players have flown out here to this epicenter of COVID and have the season start and get to the, you know, maybe the end of the first round of the playoffs, and now we can't even finish it because dudes were out here being clumsy. Dudes were out here, they couldn't follow simple rules so they could do their job and get paid, and so everybody can get paid, and so that they can do the best they can to move on the next season with the world circumstances. We don't need that. You already have people out here who are just wildly skeptical of the season, saying it's not going to happen, and the NBA should go ahead and stop pretending it's going to happen. You have all this, and so the snitch line, and I'm going to love the memes and the intensity that it might create. But yeah, I mean, if that's what Marcus Morris, which again, I don't even know if this is what Marcus Morris was talking about, but if that's how he was referencing Kendrick Perkins, because of his stance on it, it's like, bro, this is just kind of like, this kind of one side to this issue, you know? Yeah, on one hand, fucking snitch, but on the other hand, like, bro, we're trying to watch hoops now. We got a bubble. The NBA is paying like full freight to make this happen, and we got some storylines that need to finish up and all this, and yeah, the last thing we need is like Giannis, you know, coming down with COVID because somebody invited an IG thought to the room, and now, you know, half the one hotel is like super infected. They all got to quarantine. They can't even show up to the game. We don't need it, bro. We don't need none of it. We don't need any of it. So yeah, it might be petty. It is hilarious. It's gonna have memes, but it's necessary, man. It's a necessary evil. Speaking of snitches, yeah. So again, what happens is, I don't pretend to have any insider information, but again, I live in this area. I've been to at least one of these hotels. I've been to the Grand Fleur. Grand Floridian. Yes, I've been to the Grand Floridian. Bro, I've been to that hotel. Alright, you know what I'm trying to say. I've been to that hotel. That's where some of the players are staying. And my mom goes there frequently because they have a gift shop. She shops there frequently. It's for business. And she was telling me, like, she came back and she was like, yo, I talked to the gift shop, one of the gift shop workers. And according to the gift shop worker, again, this is just, who knows, I have some questions about the validity of this because I don't understand how it would be happening. And according to the gift shop worker, like, the players are down there all the time and they're allowed to be in the same places as the public, like the same places the public is. According to this lady, the players will be down there at the same time that the public is in there because, again, the gift shop is open. So sometimes they'll be, and the way it works right now is to even get into these hotels, you have to make a reservation to eat or such. You have to make a reservation for something. And so once you get in, you know, you have access to these places. And yeah, the lady, that one threw me off because I was like, wait, they said, like, when they said NBA bubble, I was thinking like, yeah, it's gonna be hard as shit to get in this thing. There's gonna be security because they talked about securing it with police, didn't they? That was one of the tweets we saw like 2 weeks ago. And we were all looking at that because of the climate of everything right now regarding police and specifically black people. We were looking at that funny. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I had this in my head, and they're paying a ton of money for it, so I was like, there should really never be, the way they sold it anyways, unless I'm missing something, the way it's been sold is that there'll never be a situation where a player would just be in the vicinity of some outsider who could easily be carrying COVID, right? But according to this lady that works there, who doesn't really have a whole lot of reason to lie, I would think, that's not really how this is going. But it's confused me though too, because when the players get there, isn't it this thing about you immediately quarantine for like days at a time? And when I got, or not days at a time, but a certain amount of days. And when I got that information, it's like some of these guys' personal quarantine ain't over yet, so maybe I don't fully understand the quarantine either. I don't know, man. It's confusing, but it did worry me. I tweeted it out, but then I deleted it because I was like, again, I don't know if this lady has her facts right, and plus, I don't want to put that negative energy out into the world. I just wait till the podcast to do it. Wait till the podcast to do it so I can explain all parts of it because I couldn't really fit this all in a tweet. That's really what it is. And yeah, so, but the other than that was the last thing that confused me. I was like, so you're just telling me Damian Lillard is just down there, and not specifically by names. I'm just putting hypotheticals out there. By the way, shout out Lillard, his 30th birthday, bro. Today's his 30th birthday. That is crazy. I remember being a high schooler when he got drafted. The man is 30 now. Of course, it feels it went a lot faster because he did his full 4 years in college. Anyways, yeah, I was like, so you're just telling me like Damian Lillard just be down there in the gift shops with like regular people, and we haven't seen any pictures of that yet, like. Of course, they're not going up to the players and asking for pictures, but nobody's snuck one yet and be like, hey, look, I'm in the NBA bubble and here's Damian Lillard, right? So I had a lot of questions, none of which I have real answers to. I just wanted to bring that up, that maybe the bubble is not as secure as it seems. But then again, I saw Taylor Rooks say that they're going above and beyond to make sure that everyone's safe. So, and she's actually there. So, hey, I don't know. These are just things that I hear, man, being 30 minutes away and hearing shit from some people that actually work there. These are just things that I hear. Yeah, that's looking like it's it for the actual NBA bubble. Again, games in 7 days. Apparently, you'll be able to watch your local team scrimmages. That's what I know right now. I don't know, maybe if you have League Pass, you'll be able to watch all the scrimmages. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, because otherwise I'm going to be watching Orlando Magic. At least they play the Clippers. But no, I want to see some of those other scrimmages, man. Put LeBron on the TV. Let me see Jason Tatum and his newfound curls. Yeah, so from NBA to WNBA, Elena Delle Donne, who I am quite certain is like the best player in the WNBA, right? Or she is at least the MVP over there. Let me see. I know she won MVP once. Let me see the stats on that. That's probably not going to come up right now because there's a bigger story concerning her. Yeah, so she has won MVP. Yeah, it's actually in the title here. WNBA MVP Elena Delle Donne not granted coronavirus exemption. So she struggles with Lyme disease, for those of you who hadn't heard, and she's looking for exemption because, again, right now, this is the thing, right? everybody's got these super strong opinions when it comes to something, especially an athlete who, by the way, this would be important in this conversation because this is, you know, some of the things that I saw in the cesspool of Twitter. What would be Elena Delle Don's salary? Because, you know, WNBA salaries are not working. MVP in the WNBA is not getting anything like an NBA player. So we're looking at, wow, really? Wow. What the hell? Okay, yeah, this is strange. I'm just reading what first came up in the box. They were saying that her salary in 2015 was 60K, and then her salary increased to 65K. By 2017, it was 70K. This year, she earns an annual income of 800K. So I'm assuming that's more than just contract. Either way, you get the point. The WNBA stars, WNBA players don't earn anywhere near the amount of money as NBA players. So it's not necessarily, especially with life expenses and all of that and whatever lifestyle they're living, it's not the same as an NBA player that can just say, oh yeah, you know, I'll let that little couple million go, or I'll come play, but I'll donate this couple millions to something else. They really don't have that same option. Her with Lyme disease, of course, she is worried about, hey, the whole thing with COVID is that you're typically supposed to be safe, you know, if you're not old or if you don't have some like respiratory condition. And for the most, especially like young, healthy athletes, people who are young and dropping from this, it seems very random. Yeah, every now and then you hear about a 23-year-old that was perfectly fine and died from it, and we don't know why. But here's the thing. So Lyme disease, yeah, obviously not a medical professional here, not, you know, Dom 2 doctor here, but it's not a respiratory thing as far as, you know. I'm looking at some of the symptoms, and it doesn't really seem like it's got a whole lot to do with, you know, the things that they say watch out for if you might possibly get COVID. Here's the thing though, here's the thing. If I had any type of underlying anything that's like a problem that I'm taking pills for, I don't want COVID already, but I especially don't want COVID if I have something that just might cause a complication. And here's where I was going with it earlier, because there'll be people out there like, oh yeah, her Lyme disease, that has nothing to do with COVID. COVID is not going to complicate that, the other thing. Well, first of all, again, we're only even a couple of months into this thing. We don't know a whole lot about it, and we don't know a whole lot about the long-term effects. So in my opinion, just saying that somebody, especially with, I've read some ridiculous number, they're saying, it's even right here, they're saying she takes, I couldn't even imagine this. She revealed she takes 64 pills a day to keep her Lyme disease at bay. 64 of them things. What? What? That's insane. But so the argument I see is like, oh well, there's like critical workers out here that have put themselves in position, you know, or have to put themselves in position to go to work every day because they don't have the same option, and somehow here we are talking about WNBA athletes now, and they're getting the spoiled athlete or the spoiled well-off person treatment, when for, again, most WNBA players that's probably not the case. A lot of these people make maybe a little bit more than the average person, or, you know, maybe not the average person, but they're not in that skyrocketing. They're just buying whatever the fuck they want, right? You get what I'm trying to say there. Well, first of all, just because someone has to go through a fucked up situation in life does not mean everybody else should have to, or even, you know, the next person next to you should have to go through that fucked up situation. It's like it's like the meme, right? I don't know if you've ever seen this meme, and it shows a train with people tied to the train track, and they're about to get ran over, and some cynic in the back is like, oh well, I had to get hit by it, so they should too. Like, that's the thing that goes on here, and that's specifically with you know, the whole student loan debate. People were talking about like, oh, we should get rid of student loans, and then somebody comes in that's like, oh well, I had to work from dusk till dawn, I never got to sleep to pay mine off. It's like, well yeah, that's because it's a pretty fucked up system then, isn't it? It's a pretty fucked up system if you couldn't sleep because you had to pay to get it, because you had to do that much to pay off an education, right? Sounds like this is kind of broken. So maybe it shouldn't be broken for everybody else. Anyways, different conversation. That just relates to the people looking at Elena Delle Don, and they're like, oh yeah, well, you know, this person has to go to work, so, you know, she should have no problem. It's like, you should never... you should never look at anyone in any situation, at least in my opinion, and look and say, oh yeah, well, you know, you should go put yourself at risk because of this. Because again, even with just a little bit we know about this, I would not be racing to put myself on the front lines. And her situation, again, being a WNBA player who is probably not in great position to just, because they're not even just finishing a season, they have to play their full season in this bubble, which, by the way, they cut down to a certain number of games. I'm not sure what the number of games they cut it down to was, but it's cut down for them. And so this is not just a couple of games in the playoffs. This is like their season, whatever that is, and then playoffs and all that. And so she's having to choose between like a full season's pay or whatever they've worked out and not getting paid at all. And you have to choose to either go put yourself at risk to go earn that, or sit out and worry about your health. And man, people just take health for granted, especially other people's health. But people take, and man, I'm even probably part of that, right? Like you end up, humans, we can adapt and get used to anything. You get used to waking up every day and not having, to worry about medical problems until you have them one day. It's kind of like how we take for granted not being sick before COVID. You took advantage of, or took for granted being able to taste your food, and then one day you wake up with a stuffy nose, and oh god, that was the fucking worst. Now I'm back in the day when I used to live at home, my mom has made pork chops that night, and then I can't fucking taste it. Oh god, that was rage, bro. That used to bring out, that's like 2K level rage for me. I used to, oh god, that used to be terrible. But yeah, you just don't take your health for granted. So even looking at Elena Deladon and saying, oh yeah, everyone's telling her she's not at risk, so even if she goes and catches COVID, bro, I don't want Lyme disease and COVID. I just don't. Maybe it won't kill me. Maybe it's not gonna have it. Maybe some doctors are saying, oh, you're not really at risk for this, that, or other thing. Yeah, but I don't want to test that shit. I get. All I'm saying is I understand her, bro. All I'm saying is I understand her. And that's a very interesting thing, man. This just goes to show. Some people are saying, like, about the NBA, this whole comeback is about money. And then you have the WNBA, and they're like, they have their MVP. I'm gonna say WVP or some shit. Flip the M upside down. They got their MVP out here on the chopping block, and they're like, yeah, so you got to come and play, because let's be real. Like, we already know that ratings in the WNBA, they're not that great right now. We know that it's an up and coming thing. It's something that's they're working on. That was one of the more tragic things with Kobe and Gigi. It's like you had people legitimately looking forward to see what she did in years down the road when she went pro. I think that was going to help the game a lot. But yeah, so they obviously can't afford, or don't want to afford, having their MVP not playing. And yeah, that's a predicament, man. That is a predicament. But I will say that this whole COVID thing has showed how much people don't give a fuck about other people. It definitely does, bro. For everybody with their actions and disregard for things, and then something like this comes up, and they're like, "Oh, you're good. Just go fucking play." Like, I know you're taking 64 pills a day and have very legitimate reasons to be scared about this, but don't be a fucking baby about it. Like, man, whatever, bro. That's when I said that was interesting on Twitter, I didn't mean interesting like I'm fascinated. I meant interesting like the connotation, bro, in a negative way. It's interesting in a negative way. That's some weird ass shit. Yeah, I'll be following that situation, seeing what happens with that. I was wondering, like, all these players that support, the WNBA, like, first of all, I haven't went and looked for any reaction for it, so I don't know what players have said about it. But again, with WNBA players not making that much and knowing her situation, nobody owes anybody monetarily at all, but I've been keeping an eye out, because players, again, they're donating to all type of shit right now, and some players are just putting their salary up and saying, I'm donating it to this. It really seems like, as much as some of the players support WNBA, a lot of them could really easily get together, like 4 or 5 of them could really easily get together and help take care of her right now, just in this struggling time. Maybe just I'm not saying nobody owes her whole contract value, but I'm like, I see a player just toss a couple of $100,000 or $1 million at whatever they want. It's like, yeah, with her, she doesn't want to put her health at risk, and y'all support this league so much. It really seems like this could be a rather simple issue. All I'm saying is it'd be interesting to see if she has to really go out there and risk, in her eyes, probably risk it all. It'd be interesting. I'll be interested to see if anybody steps up and at least tries to help out with it. That's all I'm saying, because a lot of people say they support stuff, and this is a very interesting interesting situation. I guess that I guess that moves us right into the whole thing about death, right? Like this this whole thing got like dark. This whole thing goes dark, but again with the transitions, I'm finding better transitions in the pod because it is talking about the Rona. Rona has claimed lives. She is obviously fearful for hers a bit if she has to go out there and play, or at least risking her health. And that does bring us to the subject of death and why, first of all. Like, why now? Well, aside from, you know, the daily death counter that you see on the news, if you so choose to watch it, or if you hear it on Twitter or whatever, that happened. But we also know, like, for us in the NBA community, we all experience like one of the most tragic icon deaths probably ever in Kobe Bryant and Gigi, and then of course everybody else they were on a helicopter with. For some of us, like me, that was literally my first brush with death, because I've never gotten close to dying as far as I know. Like, I always wonder I always had that weird thought, like I always wonder if I've ever been out in public and somebody had me in a bullseye or some shit like that. Like, you wouldn't know, right? You wouldn't know on some DC sniper type shit. You ain't gonna catch me slipping though. But yeah, I've never gotten close to death. I've never had any, well, that's a lie. I have seen people close to me almost die. That's almost happened. I've had a few family members have a brush with it. But you get what I'm saying. Like, I haven't so much as lost a grandparent yet. No relative, no anything, nobody close to me. So yeah, when Kobe passed, that was like my first time that somebody died. Like, I saw it on the news or whatever, and I had like an actual like actual reaction. Like, I'm still sad today. I'm still sad today. Yeah, I'm still sad today. Think about Kobe Bryant every fucking day, man. And so, anyways, I'm just answering the question, like, why would this even be a thing? Because it's something. Death is just one of the million things that I am curious about. Death, like space, outer space, what's out there. You know, I wouldn't say like meaning of life as much as not so much as meaning of life versus like how. Like, I have so many fucking questions, probably the same questions as so many of y'all. Like, you look at like life on Earth and how long, you know, the Earth has been here and this, that, or the other, and you just think it all comes back to like how, just how, Sway, how. By the way, before I even get into this section, obviously everyone has their own belief and I respect them. I'm not even about to push my belief on anybody, so I'm just having a discussion. These things are so much simpler to me than I think that they are for a lot of people, because I'm always under the impression that, like, fam, nobody actually knows, right? Like, none of us have died before. We've technically not existed, like whatever you call that shit before we were born. We've all been there, but none of us have actually went through the experience of having a life and having life experiences and then passing away. We haven't had that yet, so technically none of us have a definitive answer onto what's after that, and so therefore none of us know, and so therefore this discussion should just be really shooting shits, right? Like, it should just be shooting shits, you know. So I'm not like, everyone can believe it. Literally anyone can believe in whatever they want, and everyone can believe in whatever they want, and that should just be that, because we don't know. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, that doesn't stop me from having questions. And so yeah, I always have questions about it, but obviously this year, with this year being my first time that I ever you know, really, like, I guess mourned, I guess is what you could say. Yeah, it's the first time I ever like mourned to death. That's another reason that that is probably on my mind more, and then with everything going on, it's probably on my mind a little bit more. But yeah, as it relates to Kobe, like that, I still have not even come to grips with that. What are we, like, it's July, and it's happened back in January. And I still hadn't even come to grips with it, man. Still haven't even come to grips with it, like how someone could be. Yeah, there's like a million things I could say with that. You know, how someone could dedicate their entire lives to just with so much passion to a craft and achieve so much, and just be gone one day, man. Tragically at that too. Tragically at that. I think about that. I always hope that him or nobody else that was a part of that tragedy, you know, knew what was about to happen. Because I've read in, like, you know, stunning detail about the crash and everything we could, just because, you know, just trying to find answers, I guess, trying to find closure. And you know, it sounded like the pilot didn't know where they actually were, and so I always hope that, you know, they didn't have to actually see, you know, what was coming. And, you know, especially someone like Kobe, who you grow up and it's like that's someone that's like a hero to us, right? You know, you never really saw him when it came to adversity. You never saw him back down until his body just couldn't. And so you absolutely, yeah, at least for me, I hope that he didn't have to look at something he absolutely could not do anything about and have to come to grips with that. You know, those are the type of things I wonder about with that. And yeah, just how fucking, I just think about like how fucking unfair that is to, you know, to him, to Gigi, to everybody there, to their family that's left behind. Like I see Vanessa's picture sometimes, and it always, every picture I see of Vanessa, I mean, I haven't seen them all, but you know, since it happened, but every picture I see of Vanessa always look like she's just got done like bawling. You know that look on somebody's face, like they might be smiling, but you can tell like they just got done like fucking mega crying. That's how it always looks, you know, whenever I see Vanessa. And you know, I see his kids that he's left behind, his, you know, how many daughters did he have? So there was Gigi, there's the one that's really tall, that's Natalia. Then I believe you had two really smaller ones, right? Ones that probably aren't even gonna remember him, you know? And I just think about the fucking pain that shit causes them. But it more in a broader sense, you know, I've always thought about that. Even before Kobe passed, I had always wondered how people dealt with that. You know, how people would deal with a loved one tragically passing. Like, is that a hole that ever closes? Like, would there ever, because even now, like, again, I never met Kobe. I was only in the same vicinity as him one time ever in my life, and that was the 2012 All-Star. It was a 2012 All-Star weekend. The what did we call that thing? Jam session. That's right. Yeah, all the All-Stars were there, and so I got to watch that All-Star practice. It's the only time I've ever been in the same like gym as him at all. And still, like, I think about him and Gigi every single day. And it's probably because of how much studying I did of him, obviously, for videos, just being a fan, you know, and watching him since I was a kid, reading his book that he wrote and reading books about him. Like, I really kind of studied him in depth, especially because I was so fascinated by his mentality. I was like, I can't even understand how someone could be that fucking possessed and programmed to chase something. Because if you read the stories, like, you can love something and work at it. Like, I love the things that I work at. But even there's times for me where I'm just like, bro, I don't have it today. I don't fucking have it today, man. I just kind of want to do something else other than just work today. And like, you hear Kobe, like, this man used to sleep less than everybody, but still be fully alert and just be like, in a Team USA practice, at a fucking Team USA practice. Yeah, these are the best athletes in the league. And they're looking at him like, yo, what's up with this guy? Like, how is he down there drenched in sweat and we just got done with breakfast? That's LeBron in them, right? The best of the best, looking at him like, yo, what is this guy made of? So yeah, that's, you know, I was always super fascinated with that stuff. Watched all his documentaries. When I was doing the Three Kings of New York, for the few of you who know about that, I was, you know, doing something I didn't have the facilities for. I was trying to do like voice acting and all that shit, and trying to actually, you know how these players think. So like, I used to like write down things he was saying in his documentaries and shit like that. Yeah, fair to say I was very yeah, I studied Kobe a lot. So it's no surprise that, you know, that's the first death that hit me that hard. It's not like every other, it wasn't just like some celebrity that I liked, like with Paul Walker when he died. Like, I loved his movies, and I'd, you know, been watching Fast and the Furious since I was a kid, so I was a bit sad when he died, but it was more like a thing like, damn, I can't believe that happened. And then, you know, I still to this day, like, it's still hard to believe he's gone. I get sad about it, but, you know, it's not like, it's nothing like this one. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit of the background with why I would even be thinking about death. I'm not suicidal right now. If you know, anybody listening to this is, obviously, you know, definitely seek proper help, and there's always hopefully somebody to talk to. But no, that's not why I would be talking about it or thinking about it. More so, I think the question I asked the other day on Twitter or Instagram, no, actually both, I couldn't figure out. I don't know what prompted the thought. I don't know. I'm always thinking about like crazy life shit, and something prompted the thought for me. I was like, well, a couple of questions, but I couldn't figure out any reason that is satisfying to me, like why death would feel any different than sleep, you know? I had that, and I tweeted that out, and I did a poll on Instagram, which was very surprising. Well, not even surprisingly close, but it was really close. I did a poll about it, and sorry, checking the text. I never text, but I'm trying to set some shit up right now. Yeah. I was when you go to sleep at night, right? uh, it feels like a time skip, but not really, because I'll fall asleep tonight. I'll probably be asleep for like 6 or so hours. I'll wake up and I'll know it won't feel like I just closed my eyes and popped right back up, but I also won't have any recollection of where I was at all. Like I won't even remember not seeing anything. If you don't dream, right? That's the big thing. Apparently it floats out there that we have a dream every night, whether we remember it or not. I actually had a dream last night, and then it's funny because you'll wake up and you'll immediately forget like 90% of the dream. That happened to me this morning. I was having a dream, very detailed dream. I woke up and I literally remembered like details, like right the moment that I woke up. But there's nights that I don't dream. No, I don't remember my dream, put it that way. I don't remember dreaming some nights. And so when that happens, yo, where the fuck was I? Where the fuck was I? Because when I have a dream, it feels like I'm alive in a world, right? Whatever's going on in that dream, it feels like I'm there, and it feels like I'm interacting with stuff. But when I don't, it's not even darkness. It's not even, you know, black. It's not like you blacked out or anything. It's nothing. It's literal. I don't have the words to describe it. It's nothing. You don't remember, you know, tossing and turning. You don't remember anything. You don't remember tossing and turning at night. You don't remember whether you were comfortable or not when you were. You don't remember any of it. And so to me, sometimes it feels like it's a depressing thought and it's a scary thought. But it feels like, man, isn't that what? It almost feels like you're getting, when you're not dreaming and you go to sleep, that feels like a slice of death. Because you don't remember not existing, right? Just like when you're asleep, that feels very close. When you don't dream, that feels very close. You can't account for where you were for 6 hours. It feels very close to not existing, other than the fact that when you wake up, you can tell whether you slept for a while or not. You know, you feel well rested or you don't. That's what helps you there. But like, it blows my damn mind, and as it should any human mind, that this universe has been around for billions of years, or so we know of. Been for billions of years, but we burst into existence here one day and have no recollection of all that time that we weren't here. So like, if you go to jail right now for 5 years, you don't feel that shit. You gonna know there was a time where like you just weren't doing anything. But not existing for billions of years, you don't feel none of that. It has no value to you because you don't remember what it was like to not be here. And so that was before we came here and had a life and presumably a soul, this, that, and the other thing. And so when we sleep, again, you know, that relationship with sleep and death that I was thinking about, it's like I can't figure out, because it's very clear, again, when I go to sleep and I don't dream, it's very clear that to me, I don't feel like I was existing anywhere for a good 6 to 8 hours. And I just can't figure out why that wouldn't be like a good slice of death right there. Why that wouldn't feel like a bit of like a slice of death, but not it's almost not the craziest thing when you think about it, right? Because like I talked about, this idea where you just burst into existence. One of the things that I couldn't put this into words until this morning for some reason. I can never figure out how to do it, but somebody responded to the tweet. And they posted, I don't know if he wrote this out in his notes, because if he did, that man was dedicated to having this conversation. But I don't know if he wrote it in his notes or he found it, but it was something about how, like, you know, this life and, you know, things that we're experiencing, we're literally brains that are experiencing things. You know, that's kind of, that sounds like a very simple way to describe life. But that's low-key what it is. It's a brain and it's experiencing things, and when it stops experiencing things, you really are no more. But the question that I've always had and never really knew how to ask was like, not so much reincarnation, but like, why? I guess it's that question of like, what makes you you? Like, what's the specific thing that made me Dom? You know what I mean? Like, why am I Dom and why and not Pitbull? You know what I mean? Like the artist, not a fucking Pitbull dog. I have no desire to be a dog. I don't desire to be Pitbull either. But I'm just saying, like, why am I me and not somebody else? And so, and I, again, after billions of years, I just popped up as Dom, and I always wonder, like, what? First of all, what went into that process? And why would I not? This universe is very vast. It is bigger than our brains can even comprehend. We literally cannot comprehend the size. Like, we can't even comprehend the size of the damn sun. We have scale and all that, but in our minds, when you tell me the sun is like so many Earths or whatever, I don't actually have any way to comprehend that. I have no way to comprehend the size of this universe. Don't know what's out there. Don't know anything. As far as we know, with intelligent life forms, nothing can reach us. We can't reach anything that's out there at the moment. And I always wonder, like, why would this only happen once? You know? Because I just popped up here, fam. I just popped up here. I don't know why. I didn't consent to this, by the way. I didn't consent to this. I didn't consent to life. I didn't... Nothing. Nobody consulted me. I just popped up here one day. It's kind of like funny. It's kind of like that conversation where you think about your first memory in life, right? Like, my very first memory in life, I'm pretty sure... I used to talk to my parents about this when I was a kid all the time. My very first memory in life had to be when I was like 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old. And it was my birthday party. Funny enough, yeah, I had a birthday party at McDonald's back in the 90s. That's the first thing I remember. But I don't remember anything before that. All these pictures I see of myself of when I was a baby on the boat with my parents and stuff like that. They used to take me out because we used to live on a lake. I don't have any kind of recollection of that. It's like I just popped up one day on a specific calendar day. It felt like I just started experiencing shit out of nowhere. RKO. But yeah, I do sit and wonder sometimes. That was really what, you know, got me wanting to talk about this more and asking the questions. It's just like, why can't that happen somewhere else? And again, one of the things that people will say is, well, the chances of you even existing. This is one of the things people say when they talk about why we should be more like appreciative of life or not take it for granted. Like, the chances of us actually even existing were astronomically low to begin with from the time that we're conceived, and what goes into that process. The chances of you actually existing are terribly, terribly low. So, you know, the chances of you existing again, because as far as we know, we hadn't existed before, and it took this damn long, right? So if it takes this long again, and we get even if we got lucky in another couple billion years, what would that be like? What would the universe be like? What would the state of anything be like at that point? So maybe we don't exist again. Maybe this was maybe we actually won the lottery. Maybe we actually won the lottery, the genetic lottery, or whatever, being here, and this is just what you get. And because the chances of being are so damn low, maybe it doesn't happen again. But I guess more to the point of what I'm saying is, you know, there's people out there who absolutely believe like there's no chance we ever exist again in any form anywhere. And I've just always thought, well, like, well, shit, I'm here and I don't know how or why. So what, you know, what are the chances that I'm not? What are the chances that I'm going to be somewhere else one day and not know how or why? It just happened here. I don't know why it couldn't happen somewhere else. I don't know. This is all shit that doesn't matter, obviously. It's not like I can do anything about it, right? It's not that we can it's nothing that we can really, you know, do anything about, which is why, like, that's one of the things I got curious one day after Kobe's death, because I wanted to see, like, if there had been you know, any interviews of him talking about it. And he actually had, and it's a really spooky thing. Like, I actually would suggest that you go I would suggest you check it out. There's a interview of him. I think he had a new shoe coming out. He's being interviewed, and the reason it's spooky now that he's gone is because it's him in this, like, it's a shoe review, but it looks like a, not really a funeral, but there's like, I might have to look it up so I describe it accurately. There's like skulls there. There's like, it had kind of like a Halloween theme to it, I guess, you know, so you're always looking at like graves and shit like that. And so it had that kind of vibe to it, like death, really. And in that, they asked him about death, and he said that he had a comfortable relationship with it. They asked him what he thinks happens after he dies. He gave the same question. He's like, the same answer. He was like, fam, I don't know. Like, I guess I'll find out when I die, which is really scary. But I guess, you know, wouldn't we all really say the same thing? We're all gonna find out when we die. But he was he was saying that, you know, he had a really comfortable relationship with it. I posted it on Twitter. So he had a comfortable relationship because basically, in a word like death, to him gave life meaning. Like, you can't have one without the other. And so it's supposed to make you feel like, you know, he really lived this. Like, it sounds like something that would be cliche and that anybody would say, but like, you could tell he really believed this because of how he lived. Because he said that, you know, you can't have life without death, and so you know, you're here, and that's what makes it worth it, basically. And so for him, that took the form of him chasing something that he wanted every single day. Like, don't think there's any exaggeration for that with Kobe. It is for some people. It wasn't for him. And I guess that's the thing here, is that I'm not like desperate for answers, because these are answers we'll never get until we die. Those are answers that you'll never get. And even then, the guy's response to the tweet is like, you still probably wouldn't know, right? Because let's just say in the wildest case scenario, in another billion something years, I do exist somewhere. It theoretically would not be you, right? If you exist somewhere else in the universe as something else, even then we don't know, because we can't communicate with anything else in the universe, right? Everything else is so far away, we don't even know. Like, this might just be like point A, and then the rest of the universe might be point B, C, and D. Maybe where we go after this is somewhere else in the universe, and we don't even know, because we can't communicate, and we might not ever be able to, right? Unless we figure out some really, really crazy shit. But yeah, assuming that doesn't happen, and that we don't get to keep our recollections from this life and go somewhere else in the universe, which is like, that sounds like a movie. I don't think that's what happens, but who knows, right? Like I said, death could be anything. Yeah, if you did just pop up and exist as something else one day, as you did here, because it happened before. That's the thing, right? When you say like, oh, it sounds crazy that you would just pop up and be something else one day. Well, you popped up here. It happened. You're here right now. You just existed. It just boom, just happened. But yeah, in that event, you probably wouldn't have any recollection of this. You wouldn't have any recollection of ever existing. What's even more fascinating is you wouldn't have any recollection of the time that passed. Because again, think to yourself right now, you're not like, damn bro, I was chilling for billions and billions of years, and I'm here. Like, you don't remember those billions that you weren't here. And so if you were to exist as something else billions of years later, wouldn't it feel like you're gone from here, and the next moment you're something else? Because there's no such thing. Your brain can't process not existing, as far as we know. You can't. You didn't. When you're asleep, you don't, if you're not dreaming. And then that bro, I'm hurting my head. I'm hurting my head. That's what I'm doing right now. I am hurting my head. If you pop up as something else billions of years later, you would not even feel that billions of years. Hopefully. I hope we don't go into some fucking void and have to wait our turn again, and then you actually have to wait. Oh god, no. That sounds worse than that. That sounds like the void from Death Parade, right? That's a great anime, by the way. If you're like, there's nothing wrong, but I don't think there's anything wrong with actually being interested in death, because we're all gonna do it. So like, it's literally, it's the inevitable conclusion of all of this, no matter what. So why not be interested in it? Well, it's not wrong to be interested in it. Death Parade is a really good damn anime. That's a recommendation I have for you. But yeah, it's the effect that it has, the effect that it has on my life. It's I don't know. That's why I try to enjoy it as much as possible, and while I just try to live my own life separate of what anybody else is doing. Like, you might notice, like, I don't talk about other content creators or other things going on the internet. You might notice that, like, you look at my Twitter feed, like, I really don't have a fascination with a ton of things. Comparing myself, I guess that's what I should say. I don't have a fascination with comparing my life with other people, because I don't know how much time I have here. I don't know how much time, I don't know what happens after this. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know any of that. But the only constant that I know is that I will be no more one day. I won't exist as this anyways. I won't be done, and I have no clue if I'll ever exist again. And so, regardless of if I see other people getting other opportunities, or they're doing this with their career, or they're doing that, like, I'm always focused on just trying to do things for myself and my own happiness, and trying to achieve things that are important to me, which sometimes they're not career related, man. Sometimes they're not tethered to numbers. And that's something I had to learn over time, right? Because I'm a content creator, like, it's really easy to tether your life to virtual numbers and virtual comments. It's like, my G, if I'm just up, let's say I die a week from now, everything I've done in my life, that's just it. And so I might as well spend the time that I'm given here trying to do the things that I think are going to fulfill me, and that may be, I guess that changes sometimes too, right? At a certain point in your life, it may be money. At a certain point in your life, it may be this, that, or the other thing. But whatever it is, I'm just trying to do it. I'm just trying to do it, whatever it is. That's for, and I'm not into sharing my aspirations and all that personal shit with the internet, because the internet don't care. These fucking egg profiles that get a hold of your hopes and dreams and all of you, you're defenseless at that point. These fucking egg profiles with that never shown their face on the internet or have no real presence, but their troll accounts, yeah, they know everything about you, and that's game, right? That's probably one of the terrible parts of fame. Yeah, nah, just always trying to fulfill myself because of death, always trying to fulfill myself. That's why I am particularly thankful, because I understand everybody don't get the same opportunities. Everybody is not granted the opportunity to have a platform or you know, following, or to even like be here doing what they want for a living. Like, that's not an opportunity for some people. That's just not an opportunity. Like, we hear these things of like, oh, everyone, you know, chase what you love, this, that, or the other thing. For some people, like, depending on where you were born, it's not an opportunity sometimes, which again is another fascinating part of life and death for me, because I'm like, if you're just born into a fucked up situation that is like, to get out of, you would need to be the one in a million. And so your life is, you know, you're forced into a life of basically chasing like one thing, and then if that doesn't even work out, and then you're just gone after that, then what, right? You know, what about the person that tragically dies at like 3 or 4 years old? Was this just all they got? Those are just like again, I have millions of questions, and those are just some that flow through my head. And yeah, so because I'm able to, you know, support myself doing something I like, I'm like, okay, well, you know, could I be like much bigger than I am right now? Yeah, probably. But then that gets into a whole conversation of like, well, what's actually fulfilling for you though? Like, is it actually fulfilling to, you know, be at a computer all day, every single day? And yeah, you might, you know, have a ton of money here, but then what else are you missing out on in life? And then that just comes down to the personal question for everybody of what fulfills you? Because for some people that is fulfilling. For some people it's just this, and then that's just it. And then for some people it's not, you know. For some people they have other interests, and whatever it is, you know, you get 24 hours a day. I'm not gonna say this corny shit, we all have the same 24 hours. We don't. Again, I think that's something that hurts people's understanding of others' ways of life, is that they all just say, oh, well, I had the same opportunities as you. It's like, fam, some people really don't. They really don't. But do have 24 hours in a day though, and the one constant again being death. And so knowing that, and knowing that it's gonna come to an end, I just try to spend the day, you know, achieving what is going to fulfill me, achieving what's going to fulfill me, achieving what at any point in time I think is going to fulfill me, and just, you know, pretty much like the Rona situation right now. Just do our best. Everybody's doing their best, right? I just do my best with life, because I don't know when this shit's gonna end, and who knows? It could be tomorrow, it could be in 50 years, and I don't have a fucking clue. I don't even have a clue, right? There's not even anything. There's not even a sign of that, right? So it's just like, oh well, if I, you know, spend all these days and weeks chasing this, and then, you know, it abruptly comes to an end, I didn't have any sign, man. So just do your best. Oh man, existential 2K. I don't know. I don't try to like pretend everything I said was deep or whatever. A lot of these are probably just surface level thoughts. Yeah, those are my thoughts for whoever wanted to know. Whoever was suggesting that I put that part on the podcast. Probably have a million more. Could probably do an entire podcast on shit like that. But yeah, somehow we mix it into sports. But I got it with transitions though, right? I did transition. The Elena Delle Donne thing was a nice transition from the NBA bubble into fucking death. Like, it's dark, but it worked. And then I can transition right into one last topic I want to talk about on this podcast, because talking about like what meaning death gives to life, then you get into the topic of like giving people their flowers while they're here, because that's the one thing I was really, you know, I won't say happy about, but I was at least happy to see that, like, man, at least before Kobe passed away, like, everybody was able to give him his flowers. Had a whole farewell tour. LeBron had like a whole like outpouring the day before Kobe, he passed. He had a whole outpouring because he had just passed him on the scoring list, and so he you know, talked about everything Kobe had meant to him. You know, just flowers basically, right? Because you never know when somebody's up out of here. And yeah, that's so. Today when I saw I ended up seeing T-Pain trending actually. And it was funny, right? You ever have those moments on Twitter where you see something trending and everybody's like, "Oh, we're not about to slander this person or whatever," but then like you don't actually see like why they're trending, or you don't actually see what led to it. And so that's what happened with T-Pain today. I was looking, you know, and everybody was like just an outpouring of love for him. Because if you grew up in the 2000s and you grew up in any type of hip hop, then there's no doubt, like T-Pain, he crossed your radar at one point or another, whether you loved him or not. A lot of us loved him though, and yeah, like everyone was protecting him, but I couldn't figure out why. Like I never actually saw the event that everyone was protecting him from. I guess it might have had to do with the video it was a clip of him on Twitch, because he Twitch streams, by the way. We're gonna raid T-Pain one day, so if you want to raid T-Pain, yeah, shameless promotion, be in my Twitch chat if you follow my Twitch content. Make a shirt that says if you follow my Twitch. Yeah, no, if you're on my Twitch, we stream late these days. He streams late sometimes too. He get on at like 1 or 2 in the morning, I think. So one of these days, we are definitely gonna raid T-Pain, because he's still, you know, relatively, he doesn't get that many people watching him, I don't think, which is surprising for the type of legend he is. Which again is surprising with some of the stories we heard. Like there was a story that came out about like how he was brought in to reference or to help reference for 808 and Heartbreak with Kanye West, that project back in the day. And I don't know if the story is true or not, but they were talking about like how everyone in the studio basically started clowning T-Pain, and apparently Kanye West had wrote a damn song. Is that actually debunked? Let me see if that's actually real or not, because that's some grimy ass shit if it's real, and I don't want to just like repeat it if it's not. I didn't know I was gonna talk about it, so I didn't look it up. Yeah, they were on Good Life. Why would that have happened? Yeah, see, that's what I actually forgot that when I read that story earlier. Yeah, Kanye West and T-Pain have one of my favorite songs, The Good Life, back when I was in the 7th grade. That song has vibes like no other. Yeah, I don't even see it coming up now. Was that some bullshit? I think that was some bullshit. This is Bing though. For some reason let's get off of Bing. I don't know why my browser changed to Bing. That pisses me off, because I don't use Bing, and it's like they try to force that on you. Like every now and then I get on and it's just Bing. Like no, Google. No, I don't see the news. So the story that had, oh, is that what it is? Yeah, so there's the Travis Scott one. I don't see the Kanye West one, so that might have been fake news, so I'm not even gonna discuss that. But again, that was why everyone was on Twitter like defending him. But then also, well, that was one of the stories that floated around. But then there was this one about Travis Scott and his crew falling asleep on T-Pain in the studio when he was like making a beat for him. So if you didn't see it, it's a video floating around Twitter. T-Pain was on Twitch talking about the time that that Travis Scott let him hear Sickle Mode without Drake, like before it was out. And so T-Pain heard it and he was like, oh damn, and he was like trying to, you know, he got a bit inspired, so he was like showing Travis Scott, you know, some of what he would make if that's the sound he was going for. He said he turned around after a while, like after 4 or 5 minutes, and like Travis Scott and his boys that were all in the studio would just sleep in the middle of him talking, just fell the fuck asleep on the man. It actually make you feel sorry for him, because like from what you see about T-Pain and when you go to his Twitch, because I lied, I be in the Black Hokage's Twitch, but I also go to T-Pain whenever I see him streaming. I hop in there. And yeah, you go in there, it just seems like a cool, chill dude. So to hear that story, to hear another story he told, or shit, I don't know if this one is true now. Shit, let me see. About artists apparently not reciprocating. He would be on their shit like for features to help their career out, and all he asked was that they hop on tracks with him when he asked. That was it, like no payment or anything. And apparently nobody would reciprocate. I don't know if I'm gonna find that one right now, because that's actually kind of specific, and I don't know if it's. Yeah, we ain't gonna find that one right now. But yeah, apparently that one was anyways, where I'm going with all this and how that transitioned from the whole death thing is just giving people their flowers. Because T-Pain, like, I do feel like you don't really, for the impact that he had in the 2000s, you really don't hear about him as much. For him to still be out here, A, still kind of making music, and B, to be on Twitch, like, I'm pretty sure like my Twitch viewership is like no flex or nothing like that, but most nights I'm pretty sure my Twitch viewership is bigger than his, and this is T-fucking-Pain we're talking about. Like, this is in my life, this is a legend, bro. I had when I was in the 5th grade, had me wanting to perform. We had a talent show, and I think me and 2 other friends, we were gonna perform Umsprung at a talent show, and I'm glad we didn't, because we would have embarrassed the shit out of ourselves. We didn't have auto-tune, and we also couldn't sing without auto-tune. He actually can. That's the thing. If you there's a video of T-Pain without auto-tune, and it actually sounds good. So yeah, that would have been a very bad thing to have on camera, or to just a memory to have. I'm glad that didn't happen. Yeah, but for me, for like mid 2000s, he was like the first internet video I would go watch. I would go watch that music video back then. I think it was Vivo, because we didn't quite have YouTube yet. And then yeah, from like 2005 to like 2009, 2010, like yeah man, Bartender, the features that he hopped on, him and Akon, like come on bro. Yeah, he's got a, whether, I don't know, I didn't, besides the Travis Scott thing, I didn't see all the disrespect that they were saying happened. I just saw that people were saying he was disrespected, but I also don't think he gets the love he deserves either. So yeah, long story short, we're gonna raid T-Pain and we're gonna give him his flowers while he's here. So one of these days, bro, we're gonna try to end the stream at like 1 a.m. Hell, maybe even tomorrow. We're gonna check if T-Pain is streaming, and we're gonna send all. But shit, when I do a raid, it's probably only like 500 of y'all left. Yeah, we're gonna raid the man, follow him, show him love. And if you don't know T-Pain music, well, stop following me. I'm just kidding, bro. I know I'm an old head now. It's 2020. I'm talking about shit from back when, like, 05, when I was in the 5th grade and whatnot. Yeah, I just thought that would be an interesting thing to talk about, because yeah, no T-Pain. T-Pain slander is on the level. If you follow my Twitch, he's on the level of like Tim Duncan and Larry Bird and the guys that I just say like we don't slander in the chat like for any reason. Yeah, T-Pain's on that level. He's above slander. So yeah, that's I think that's gonna be it for today's podcast. We look like we're about at 1:40. I'm about to hop on the park with my homies. You know, I was doing a podcast. I don't think he knew I had it before. I told him I was doing it. He said, "That's lit. Discuss the Magic winning the chip this year." Bro, what did Alex Martin say? That's like the guy, one of the guy that runs the Magic Penguin office. He said that they were gonna win one championship by the year. Did he say 2030? I don't even remember. So yeah, and then it's sometime in the next 10 years on this podcast we'll be talking about a Magic championship. Yeah, I mean, or we can just talk about the Magic championships that they won in the sim. If you follow me on Twitch, Penny Hardaway is like top 10 all time on that simulation right now. He's got 2 titles, one of which he won with Cliff Robinson as like the 2nd best player, I believe. So yeah, we stand Penny. Anyways, yeah, that is definitely it for today. Good talk. We got absolutely nowhere with the death section. But somebody said put your thoughts out there after I asked that question, so I did. Got some good talk about the king, Messenger Matt. Give that man his flowers, because he never got the clout he deserved to begin with. So I would love it if I've never interviewed anybody on this podcast. That's like #1 goal. There's like 2 people I'd love to interview. Messenger Matt definitely, and then the Shane Missler. If you don't know Shane Missler, he was a lottery winner. He won the lottery down here. He lived not that far from me. He lived in the vicinity, right? He's in Florida. Happened in 2018. I was still in college back then, and I was like, yo, like I was about to graduate. I was like, yeah, we gotta make something shake here. Let me start playing the lottery. He won. Why can't I? Because he was young. That's the catch, right? He's like around my age, and you never hear anybody at my age winning the lottery. You always hear people that are like pretty much on their way out winning the lottery, and I'm like, yo, that's a slap in the face. Don't, yo, if you're gonna give me the lottery when I'm 65, I don't fucking want it, bro. Let me stop. Let me relax. I might need it then. But yeah, no, I'm like, come on. I would love. Did you imagine winning that shit when you're like in your 20s? And so yeah, I've wanted to get him and interview him, but you know, how the fuck would I reach Shane Missler, right? Dude probably has literally hundreds of million things better to do. Anyways, yeah. That is it. That is a wrap. I should say the podcast is on Spotify at the beginning, but you already know that if you are a regular listener, it is on iTunes and Spotify. It is in the link in the comment section and description. Be sure to hit the like button, comment, and sub, and hit the bell next to the channel name to get a notification, so you will get a notification whenever I drop a podcast, which is 2 times a week now. Good talk.